Being a neurodivergent person, I have a surprisingly large back catalog of embarrassing events that have left me with shame hangovers because I said or did something that was insensitive, I didn't read the room, I was challenging somebody without intending to. And once I accumulated that back catalog, I had a good amount of information on which to base future social interactions and not repeat a lot of these mistakes. And sometimes I do, but it's less frequent now. But I had to kind of go through all of that and have these unfortunate experiences to realize that what I did wasn't great. At the time, often I felt like I was just being my authentic self, showing up authentically. I had no bad intentions whatsoever. But by virtue of what I did, I was treading on somebody's toes. So I was at a networking event many years ago for fellow TV production types, because that was my background once upon a time. And I was talking to somebody, and he started praising the CGI film Avatar, not The Last Airbender, the one with the blue cat people, giant blue cat people. I went to the premiere of that, and I did not appreciate it, even though I was a video gamer who loved CGI films. At the time, it didn't really resonate with me, and many of the critiques that came up subsequently, I was like, oh yeah, I really agree with those critiques. And I engaged with them. And this person said, he was getting very, I don't know, metaphysical or like deep and poignant and meaningful in what he was talking about, but it smacked of pretension to me. And that is like catnip for a neurodivergent who wants to challenge that. I'm like, okay, pretension, here I come with my authenticity. I'm going to shake you up a little bit and challenge you. I should have just disengaged politely and not done anything, but I was like, I have to say something. And he said, James Cameron used to be a plumber, and this person used to channel the flow of water, and that was the craft that he had before. And then he became a filmmaker, and can you just imagine somebody who channeled the flow of water and now is creating such a visionary film as Avatar? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand. And I had to say something, and there were other people there. I said, but like, what are your thoughts about the fact that it's basically a ripoff of Fern Gully and Pocahontas? What are your thoughts about the white savior complex that plays out here, where this white human being comes in and saves the ethnic people? And you could see like panic behind his expression because he'd never encountered these discussions before. And I just thought it was like, a good back and forth, and we were going to have some meaningful discussion about it, because he was just lavishly praising this film, which I was admittedly not a huge fan of, for many reasons, and for some of the reasons I actually described. And I guess he didn't expect that, and I caught him flat-footed, and he was not at all expecting it, and it felt like I was ripping the carpet out from under him, because I was challenging him on something that was very valuable or meaningful to him. And I was... In hindsight, I should have just, like I said, zipped my lip and not said anything. And he kind of backpedaled, and it got very awkward because everybody else who was present perceived it, as I think he did, as a challenge. I mean, I do like to be a little bit challenging, like to throw something out there to see what somebody's going to say. Sometimes to be a little bit of a provocateur. And just to see if like they can kind of meet me where I'm at in terms of my level of engagement or critique. And he couldn't. And that was kind of shame-inducing for him, or humiliating for him, because there were other people present and he had nothing to respond to. And I think this person also perceived themselves to be really high up in a hierarchy because they were head of a production company and saw themselves as an auteur, I think. And here I was, this lowly person coming out of nowhere, blindsiding them with a critique that they could not engage with. So I didn't really read the room. I didn't really read the social hierarchy. And many neurodivergents will be like, well, screw the hierarchy. I don't care about that. We're all equals here. Let's have an open exchange of ideas. That sounds nice on paper, but human beings, like many primates, are we primates? I don't know if we're primates. Regardless, like many mammals, like to form themselves into hierarchies. And because of that natural self-selection, or that organization of human beings, those are going to exist regardless of whether you want to respect them or perceive them. And I did not respect or perceive it at the time. And I put him in a very awkward position, and he disengaged and shortly left the group because there was no way to recover from that, because I, in a way, had accidentally humiliated him. Did I need to be a provocateur? Probably not. I really didn't need to say anything that could have put him on the back foot. I mean, whether his ideas held water, that was yet to be identified because the exchange never happened. We never went back and forth. And I think he just wanted to say his one profound statement, and he wasn't expecting that. He was expecting to be well received and for us to go, oh wow, yes, interesting. And I'm never one to give a canned response, but that is often what is politely required in polite society, is to give the expected response and sounds of interest and respect and indications of respect. And I failed that test completely. And I think everybody else felt a little bit alienated or uncomfortable around me because I'd stirred the pot and I'd challenged somebody and, in a way, accidentally, like I said, humiliated somebody. And so there was kind of a target painted on my back. Not that anybody came after me, but everybody kind of perceived me as that person who's socially awkward and maybe even not a nice person, maybe even a mean-spirited person, because I'd done something that they perceived to be having a negative intention. I didn't feel like at the time I had a negative intention, but this is what often happens is when you disrupt social harmony, is that you are perceived to be the person who is a negative presence, somebody who is potentially dangerous or harmful or hurtful or insensitive to other people's needs. And then you end up alienating yourself from everybody because you're an unknown quantity and people don't feel like you're a safe person to be around. And this is often the case when you express criticism, even if it's constructive. When it's not asked for or when it's not expected, people are like, this person just seems like a negative presence, I'm going to back out. And I think this is very much the case in cultures like when I lived at the time, LA, where it's, you do respect the hierarchy in the production world, the TV production or film production world, and you don't express criticism openly, and you read the room, which I was atrocious at. One of the many reasons why I'm not in that industry anymore. I would love to hear if you've had similar experiences to this, where you kind of said something that was provocative or challenging or critical or perceived to be negative, and it completely disrupted the social proceedings, and everybody got awkward and uncomfortable, and you felt like you were then marginalized or shunted to the side because you were deemed dangerous, or people kind of withdrew and didn't engage with you anymore as a result of something you said or did. And it was only retrospectively looking back that you were able to figure what had actually happened and you realized the social error you made. I would love to hear all about your experiences.